the strong team fight lineup that we saw out of them. And you were kind of mentioning when we were doing kind of the post game that maybe T1 need to look to have a couple more team fighting heroes in their arsenal. Is this something that we really want to consider out of them, or continue to go down the route of just the tempo be up in your face?
Just give me a Lion, man. What was wrong with a Lion that game? I feel like it would have been really solid. Obviously, hindsight of when it would be picked, yada, yada, yada. But, against a Terrorblade, for example, you can use the mana drain. It gives you the burst that you need to be able to kill someone before a lot of these aura items start to become a factor. And to be honest, the Veno pick was just way off for me. It's way too early into the draft. And then you last picked a Legion Commander into a Terrorblade. And I was like, well, what does that do exactly? Not that much. But it seems like they're still in high spirits. Kitrek, big smile on his face. Thompson, he seems like he's still feeling it. Obviously, he had quite a good game. Ana, stoic as ever. So I think they're not all is lost. Liquid, for sure, are one of the better teams throughout this tournament.
Is that 2 mouse pads on Ana's desk? He's got a gigantic one and then a smaller one?
Oh yeah, good question. Maybe it's to stop the keyboard from moving around. It's sticky,
Even looks like honestly looks like there's a third as well, potentially onto the right side of the keyboard. So everyone has their own individual unique.
Don't a couple of the OG boys just don't use a mouse pad at all? They just raw dog the mouse?
Yeah, they just... We're gonna go closer. Honestly, I think he has 3. There's the black one, then there's a smaller one on the right. Now we get to see his beautiful face. I think you're right as well. There are a couple of the OG boys that I think do, like you said, raw dog it.
I mean, I don't know of a better term to use for it, but yeah, it's interesting for sure. I mean, we saw during the True Sight that Maposhka basically sits sideways, maybe so that he doesn't have to look at Toronto Tokyo's screen. Maybe it's just comfort, but everyone has their unique little things. Some people like Arteezy plays with his feet up on the chair sometimes, kind of like, for all my weebs out there, weebs rise up, like L from Death Note. Calm down, bro. You've never seen an anime in your life. He's a poser.
What do you mean, dude? Mm-hmm. I'm a wee bit hot. I mean, you see sometimes how 33 sits. I think it was the Riyadh tournament where there was a lot of close-ups of his 33's sitting position. So yeah, everyone has their own uniqueness on how they get comfortable.
Can't people just sit? It's what's wrong with a nice sit these days?
Well, I mean, everyone's kind of how their body is set up, I suppose. Some joints are a little bit longer than others. Some places are a little bit more comfortable. I don't know.
Enough talk about our bodies for now. We got a draft going. And taking away some of the team fight is T1. Obviously, the Pangolier, it's flexible. In Team Liquid, they've put it onto 3 different positions over the years. So just wanting to take away that little aspect for them. They've also got T1 this time around who have that first pick. So they want to make sure that they've got the option to be able to make that game-breaking style. They really feel like they're so much stronger when they've got this last pick of the first stage that's uncounterable, that you're able to immediately get a few bans in afterwards. But again, I guess the laning stage did go quite well for them, right, in game number 1. Maybe that was on the back of having second pick and being able to counter things. Not sure, but you do give up a little bit of that early game momentum in 2 lanes for an overwhelmingly positive impact in the other one.
All right, let's see what the call is going to be here for T1. Primal Beast is still left open for them. Undying is left open for them as well if they want to go down that route. So still have a lot of potentials for them with this 5th pick.
And that's what it is. Whitemon, he just seems so, for lack of a better word, naked without some sort of food, He needs to be snacking.
Yeah.
We saw Boxy doing it earlier, but give the man a banana. Give the man some chips or something to eat. They do end up going the Undying. Of course, for those that weren't watching or didn't see the highlights of T1 during the SEA qualifiers, this was played by Ana most of the time. Cuckoo also played it, but of course Whitemon has the capability of doing it. So they keep the flex available for themselves, and I think it's pretty much the perfect first pick, although Team Liquid love to play the Snapfire. Damn, I was a couple of seconds too late. And it's something that Mickey does from the mid lane. It's something that you're able to put just onto even an off lane. We've seen Zai do it occasionally. Boxy can do it. So I like this as well. Good response that doesn't give away too much of your draft. And Edward
And the
Enigma
slips on through.
Yeah.
Say that. Did you say Edward?
Edward Enigma.
Edward Nigma. Okay. the Edward Nigma is picked up. I think for T1, what we're looking for is you're probably not going to see Arnas here because you want to continue with the flex out of the Undying. So is Thompson's hero more than likely you're expecting to be picked up?
I would say most likely, unless they want to go down like... Well,
interesting.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what it is. I mean, this is a pretty decent Enigma lane counter, right? If you're playing it as a position 1, you can just use the flak cannon to be able to deal with those Eidolons. So I like it. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, and that's the big thing you mentioned, just with how you're able to address the Enigma.
Undying doesn't do anything against it. That's the downside.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a very strong lane with the double range versus the Undying, so it'll be interesting. Maybe they try and keep the flex with potentially Cuckoo playing it in the off lane, but honestly, this Undying is a very strong hero, but I think in particular for T1, like the big thing why they like this hero is because the flex, and because Ana has played it twice in the qualifiers and he won both those games as well, so now you're already getting rid of the flexibility, so it is definitely going to reduce some of the prowess of this hero in particular in this game.
So what do I want to see them pick up now on T1 to be able to combat this? I really wouldn't hate to see something like a Clockwork come out. Just, again, something that's able to go in a little bit more so that all of the focus isn't onto like one hero like Thompson had last game. And it's a BKB piercing disable for the black hole, and it's able to interrupt the Mortimer's kisses. So I really wouldn't hate to see that.
Yeah, I think your other traditional counters could be something like the Rubik, matches up very well versus Enigma Snapfire, but are you wanting to see Zephyr more on like an active kind of hero instead of something like the Rubik, even though it does look like a pretty good Rubik game, but maybe like are you wanting a different playstyle out of him?
It's solid enough. The one thing that I am very mindful of is if they go down any of those routes, Clockwork, Rubik, even a Nyx Assassin potentially, is you have the potential for them to just double down on this Enigma draft and then go full on push. And then you're going to have a really rough time. Potentially. Because if you're pushing into a Gyrocopter and an Undying, they have very good ways to be able to set up to have a really good fight, right? Tombstone drops, flak cannon, they're running into you, they're taking a ton of damage. All you really need is some kind of hero that enables the team fight even further, like a Puck or a Mars or something along those lines. So we'll see what avenue T1 looks to go down. As T1, they actually get rid of the silence. Team Liquid get rid of the silencer. Haven't seen it in a pro game yet since the buff. I mean, it's a nice little buff up, giving the instant damage through with your Q.
I mean, the hero was unpickable before the patch, and maybe now you could see it occasionally against the Enigma. This is looking like this could be a
secret drop.
Position 5 Centaur. So, I mean, it's very good versus the Undying. Very, very good. Jari doesn't have any control as well, so this gives you a lot of capability to be able to reset team fights now and take it on your own accord.
5 seconds.
Yeah, not necessarily for the lane, but it's good for the game, right? And I still feel like this Snapfire, it can go, I don't want to say anywhere, but it can go into many different positions. So probably not going to be a Centaur off lane, more likely to be the Enigma playing in that role. But yeah, Centaur 5, certainly a possibility. Would that mean that you switch the Undying to be off lane, though?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. Now, I think it gives you a possibility to do that. I was looking back at some of Puppy's Centaur games, and he did play one Centaur game versus the Undying, and that he was laning against it as well, and it actually didn't look too bad. I was still able to have a decent job as playing the position 5 Centaur and helping out. So I do think it's a good matchup versus the Undying, but from what I saw, like the Centaur can still kind of play his own role required out of him.
Interesting pick, I'm going to say that, for the Enchantress. I mean, it's something that Whitemon is exceptional at, so I like that aspect to it. Zephyr's a pretty good Enchantress, but not quite on Whitemon's level, in my opinion. But if you're going to pair something together with an Undying, Enchantress goes a long way to just decimating a lane. So even something like a Centaur isn't going to be amazing against it. Like, Centaur's an alright laner, and it really puts a lot of pressure onto Team Liquid to perhaps pick something that's a little bit more capable of going back into the jungle and farming. Like, I really wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Naga Siren come out, and there's the Clockwork I was expecting. Cool. I still want the core Clockwork, man. I want to see the Ags. I need to see it come out.
That's true. I mean, that was something you were mentioning a lot through the qualifiers of Arna is something under his belt is this Clockwork one. Of course, we're not going to see it with the Gyrocopter. I think
never say never with T1, all right?
Never say never. That's a good point. Never say never. Yeah. So what's the call for Liquid? You're going to need some way to be able to get out of the cogs. Something in the potential, and they're going to go down the Lifestealer route. It's a very good Lifestealer game.
Yep.
Very good Lifestealer game. You deal with the Enchantress incredibly well when the Untouchable is not an issue. Your matchup versus the Gyrocopter is really solid as well. A lot of magic damage from the Gyro until you're able to find items, so the Rage is something that can really mitigate his damage early on, and Martu is very, very comfortable in this hero.
I'm still wondering, like, how these lanes are actually going to go. Like, is this an Undying 5, Gyro 1, Enchantress 3, Clockwork 4? I don't know, man. It's puzzling to see how exactly they're going to set this up. Is it still just going to be an Undying 3? And then if you're into 2 strength heroes, you're very happy. Highly likely that it's going to be 2 strength heroes regardless, unless they run the Enigma position 5. I think Whitemon recently ran it as a 5, and then he just didn't black hole the entire game. So maybe Liquid are going to be thinking on a similar wavelength.
Yeah, but they have no... Oh, sorry, they do. Apologies, my bad. I was going to say they got no counters, but the Clockwork... I think they're going to run Gyro Clock Lane and Undying Enchantress, but there's a lot of flexibility for T1. We are looking towards the Thompson hero. You're going to need... I think some way to deal with the Lifestealer, because at the moment, again, he's pretty... It's a pretty free Lifestealer game. It's not going to be easy for them to pick up a hero, though, in the mid lane that can look to address the Lifestealer.
And Morphling's already banned out as well, one of the best counters to it. Of course, Thompson's super comfortable on that one as well. Can't really get away with PA in the mid lane, I don't think, unless they ran a mid-gyro and he played a PA, but then I think you just switch up the Enigma again and actually lane it as a position 3. Both Ana and Thompson have been playing a bit of the Troll Warlord recently. They've been playing a little bit of the Marana in different roles.
Interesting.
What else could we look to see?
They have some issues with keeping heroes inside a location, because for T1, like, ideally for them, it's you take a fight where you have firm control of a high ground with like Tombstone, and the Clockwork's able to block off pretty much the only avenue out. But besides that, their team fight is a little bit lacking unless they get the perfect opportunity. So I don't know if there's a hero that could be picked up for Thompson to kind of enable them and stop Liquid from retreating. I mean, Puck would have definitely helped out in that regard.
It would have, but I feel like that still would have meant that they're lacking in damage, to be honest. Like, the Puck isn't the highest damage hero as a mid laner, especially early on. Sure, it enables the Gyrocopter, but that's not really Ana's style. Ana prefers to go back into the jungle, farm up a lot. He's still one of the best farmers out there. But where we've seen a few weaknesses from him are when he actually is forced to join that. In that last team fight that we saw there in the previous game, when he got semi-blocked off by the Fisher, he was just running around for a good 3 seconds, not doing too much of anything. And here we go. Okay, so I think they absolutely want to lane this into the Lifestealer, and it could be Cuckoo, it could be Ana. They're just going to shift this around. Whoever's more comfortable playing it, because this is like the exact lineup that you want against a Lifestealer. Lifestealer just wants to stay in the lane for as long as possible, and that's exactly what Bounty Hunter wants to do. And with the additional damage that you got, with the insanely high armor that you've got, it just means that you're able to trade and yoink a lot of his gold so easily. So this is probably, what, a mid-gyro then? And it's going to be the Thompson style that I was mentioning before, where they play like 2 off-laners in the Bounty and the Undying, and then they play a Gyrocopter mid. That's what I think. I might be wrong. Thompson Enchantress, okay.
Holy.
Oh, boy. All right, so Cuckoo Bounty Hunter. Again, I think this Bounty Hunter could work in a big way.
Yes. Yes. I'm 100% in agreement with the point you mentioned. Like, this is a hero that wants to lane into the opposition that just stays in the lane. And Lifestealer is that. Like, he's probably the best hero that is self-sufficient and plays the lane, defends the tower, and the Bounty Hunter plays perfectly into that. Another thing to look at as well, it is going to be Zai playing the Centaur and Insania on the Enigma. So Enigma is going to dodge the Gyrocopter, but it puts Centaur into the Undying lane. So it should be a pretty good lane for T1. Yes, 2 strength as well, Centaur and Snapfire. So we had a very interesting Game 1 draft, and now we have a very interesting Game 2 draft as well.
Yeah, that's definitely one way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, with it being played as a position 5 as well, this Enigma, I was a little concerned for T1 in that their ability to deal with split push is basically non-existent. Like, it's only the Gyrocopter, essentially. Clockwork, not the greatest. Enchantress, not the greatest. Undying, not at all. And Bounty Hunter, basically not at all. So how are they going to be able to combat this if they try and go down that route, if they try and have Insania play a little bit greedier? I also feel like, unless the lane goes exceptionally well, which it's not going to quite as much anymore because you've got the Enigma dragging the wave back further towards the towards Matumba Man and the safety underneath his tower, then you're just not going to have that ability to do, again, the damage needed. I still feel like they've got a damage issue on T1.
I think the big advantage that T1 are going to look to play with is just the fact that you are going to have this overwhelming amount of gold early, and they're going to continue just running at Liquid. You have the track, like we mentioned, Cuckoo should have a very good lane, and Thompson, I think he will be killable in the Enchantress. Like, you can use Mortimer Kisses into the Storm Spirit Burst, and all they need is a little bit of control, and that's where Zai comes into play. So I think Thompson is very killable this game, as we already see T1, an aggressive movement inside the triangle, and Zai, he's in trouble. Insania's nearby. There's not really much that Liquid can do. They're just hoping that Zai can get towards the tower, but T1 will make sure that is not an option, as they find a big kill in their first blood, given over to Ana.
They got to keep things like that going, though. They got to win the lane. I mean, Enchantress wins most lanes, right? So it should go all right in this mid lane. You're also not really a hero that gives Storm Spirit any way to get mana back from something like a magic stick or anything like that. You're just right-clicking him down. You've got superior range. You could just harass him from afar, and then you just see he's going the Falcon Blade as well. So he just wants to stay out on the map as much as possible, not have to go back, not go into a bottle. It's just all about the damage and lane domination for this Enchantress, and they're banking on Cuckoo to have a similar sort of result out of this top lane.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a miss?
So do we feel like
He just popped the battery assault, so...
He was getting aggressive on the Enigma, but it was a bit close to the tower. I think just looking to be an issue. Just
a tier 2 tower at 0 minutes.
Yeah, it's just a mind game. He's looking to put some pressure on him. Maybe stop him from running up, so saying he has to TP. So for T1, because the way I'm looking at it is that this is a lineup that's going to be high tempo and just run over the game. Do Liquid have the capability to combat that?
For sure. I mean, I feel like if you are funneling... It depends how you're baiting and how you're causing T1 to move. I feel like as long as you're coordinated and say, like, kite him into this choke point, then you're going to have the Mortimer's Kisses, then you're going to have the Black Hole, then you're going to have the Stampede to enable these sort of more successful team fights to happen, specifically in the early game. Late game, it's all Liquid. It's just, again, about surviving that first 20, 25 minutes or so.
Thing is just how can they get out of the lanes, because that's the big advantage that T1 have at the moment. See, whenever Zephyr's able to close the distance onto Insania with the boots and the battery assault, then the Enigma's going to take a lot of damage. And onto the tower. Let's see if they're going to continue on. Ana. It's got that level 2. Same with Whitemon. Just goes for a point in the Tombstone instead. But Liquid for them, they at least have been able to set up a double wave here, so it's going to drag shortly under the tower, but they won't be able to freely farm here. Whitemon and Ana are going to continue to put the pressure on. They might even drop Tombstone for it, and yeah, that's going to be the case. But Boxy, beautifully done. The level up of the little Shredder means that T1 will not be able to find any kills unless Zai falling low.
Great play by Boxy there. Just not putting a single point into the skill. Just wanting to make sure that he's got plenty of potential to be able to turn around. And yeah, that super early aggression, I believe. He's still got 2 mangoes left on Whitemon, but He's going to need to bring out a couple more. It's not as bad as the Crystal Maiden lane that I hate, where if you just don't win the lane, it feels like you do nothing all game. At least Whitemon has some versatility, some flexibility to do different roles, to go out a little bit more greedily and get some wards down on this Undying, but it still feels very rough if you're not getting at least one kill in the first 5 or so minutes.
Yep.
Especially into a
Done a good job, though. Yeah, like Honor is going to be able to find his farm, without a doubt, but it's just a question of like how much Zai can get out of it as well, because he's pretty much only going to be soaking up experience down bottom, I believe. So take a look at how some of the other lanes are shaping up for the moment. I mean, this mid lane, I'm very intrigued about the Thompson going on the Enchantress versus Mickey. Seems like he's having a pretty good time at the moment. Do we feel like the supports need to be involved in this lane in particular to try and help out with some of the runes?
I feel like Thompson doesn't
Is he
really
going to win the
need
man fight?
I don't know if you are. Not with the 2 points into the Nature's Attendance there. I just want to see what timing...
That's a long attack range, man!
Yeah.
Mickey! Oh! Oh my lord.
Turn back around.
Walked back in. Yeah, that was... Oh, he's going to have to make the trek all the way back to base, though, so this is a full creep wave that he's going to miss.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's to be expected whenever you're going up against an Enchantress, right? And he's also got the magic stick and a clarity coming out to him, so just wants to always be able to pump in a lot of that harass in onto the Storm Spirit. I really don't feel like too much is going to change in terms of the power runes if you made a rotation away. Both lanes on the side are quite strong at being, like, Cuckoo wants this 1v1 matchup against Martu, and you're up against an Undying Gyro, 2 pretty strong laners, so I don't think you've got the freedom on Liquid to make too many moves.
Lane, Whitemon? No, he's okay. Zai doesn't have the hoof stomp to look to put the pressure on, so I think for bottom it's going to be opened up for Liquid with the first rotation out of Mickey. They're probably going to look to try and bring down this bottom lane to look to enable the Centaur, even put some pressure onto the tower. I don't think we'll get a rotation for him all the way to top.
Not quite.
I do see Zai falling pretty low. Ana might be able to secure the kill. Zai is going to be able to utilize the creep wave to tank up some of the rocket barrage damage.
Boxy's doing a pretty good job of putting his body in the line. And, well, when I say that, the caster curse has to be a little bit careful too, although he's trying to get some of these right clicks in through the flat cannon onto the creep wave. They're just out of range though. Does Zai, he's still 25 gold away from being able to pick up that Ring of Health and have a bit of an easier time. Have a look over at the net worth and what it actually has resulted in for both this Centaur and the Enchantress. They've just gone all in onto this laning stage on T1. And again, this was always what their draft was going to do. So it's just about what can you salvage out of these lanes now for Team Liquid.
This is kind of the thing with the...
I mean, Mickey's juggling.
Mid lane. Yeah, that's what I was just going to bring up. Like the mid lane doesn't really have this capability to be able to catch back up without the small camp. Like that was a big reason. If you have a rough lane, you can always fall back onto the small camp. Like Storm is still one of the fewer heroes that are able to rotate early, but it's not going to be that easy to keep up. So this is well and truly a one lane for Thompson, and we'll see what he's going to look to do with the catapult. Like if how much damage he looks to put onto the tower, if he's just going to hold the equilibrium here to really stop Mickey from even coming back and soaking up maybe a wave.
Really like this move from Zephyr as well. He's just trying to disrupt as much of Mickey's farm as possible.
Boxy... Whitemon was going to pop a main, go into the decay. But Boxy will be alright.
So yeah, Zephyr's just roaming around, trying to find Mickey, trying to stop him from getting... Even just leeching the experience is probably a big win, because you've gotten to the stage with Cuckoo, he's got 3 points in the Janata, and he's got a Vanguard. That's all you need against a Lifestealer. It's very hard for him to kill you. This is the ideal situation that you're wanting on Cuckoo. You're just
bottom lane, Zai should end up going down. Buster's going to be able to connect. They got the decay. Whitemon can take up the tower as well. They're even going to use the tombstone as well. Going to help out with the dive attempt. And finally bring down Zai. Second death. Keep in mind, he was the person that gave over first blood underneath the tier 2 tower.
Even trying to put a little bit of pressure in onto this mid lane. Thompson, no points in the enchant just yet, so isn't able to get a creep to be able to tank up some of these tower hits. He'll just do it with his own body instead to try and protect this siege creep for as long as possible, and he's doing a pretty good job at that. Never mind, Insania just converting the siege creep instead, but, well, no mana means that he can look to start getting chased down here by Zephyr. Can he get the line right? Looks like he can.
Thompson's going to make sure he'll Right-click towards the later stages to secure the kill, and something you need out of the Enchantress to help with his scaling potential. And I think this was already his upgraded boots completed. Yep, Tread's coming out in the corridor, bottom lane. Zion Boxy, they're going to get aggressive. They get a kill onto Ana. Wymon might be able to turn it back around, but there's the rotation out of Mickey down to bottom like we were talking about. And that is big. All really set up because Boxy was able to get that solo experience for the Undying, going for the deny towards the tier 2 tower. So he had the upgraded level in the Scatter Blast up to 2. So enough burst to secure the kill into the Gyrocopter. Then Mickey could move down bottom.
Yeah, it's the absolute correct move because you're just not killing Cuckoo without Snapfire at least being level 6. You're going to need the Mortimer's Kisses with the Vanguard, with the 11 armor that a level 6 bounty hunter has. It's just way too much. So he's just going to abandon the lane. I really feel like Cuckoo needs to just continue standing right on top of Martu. Your farm isn't important. It's just denying Martu's.
Gummy! Gummy!
Look at that little oinker.
Oh, Cuckoo. Look at that. I only misses one creep under the tower. Nothing crazy. TP back. At all the farm he would ever want.
He just needs his level 7. Then he can go back to bullying Martu. 3-second cooldown. Very balanced.
He's going to go Scepter next. Phase boots into the Scepter.
Yep.
So, see how fast he's able to complete that.
Mid-tower is probably going down too.
Onto Ana. It's another big kill if they're able to bring him down, but Ana's got an opportunity to use the core down now with a wraparound from Zephyr. The Cogs is out preventing the Stampede, but Ana, he's stuck inside the Cogs and are Liquid. Let's see if they can continue in this skirmish. And Martu's going to pop out, trying to close the distance onto Zephyr. They're not going to be able to get the distance, so they'll go for Whitemon instead. 1,300 health that they have to go through onto the Undying, and now with Thompson's rotation as well as Liquid, they're just going to look to avoid the Enchantress. Going towards the backline is now Mickey with the magic damage. They'll go back to the Enchantress, but yeah, good luck killing Thompson. This guy is not going to go down at this stage of the game, so Mickey needs to retreat.
Be able to get this bounty rune as well. Reveals the fact that they've got some sort of vision here. No level 6 quite yet on Zephyr, actually a mile off, not even level 4 just yet, so won't be able to secure the kill there onto Mickey. And Cuckoo, he's just getting that early farm that he needs. I understand the importance of picking up this Aghanim Scepter for being able to constantly keep the pressure up, keep expanding that net worth lead, but I really feel like all he really needs is this phase boots. Oh, Zai in a position to try and make a bit of a counter move here.
Oh, Cookie actually onto Whitemon. Insania's nearby as well with a couple of Eidolons. Beautifully done from Liquid, playing around with the Enigma in the jungle, who is getting a lot of farm. Like, you take a look at Insania's net worth compared to some of the other supports here on T1, so he's going to be a bit of an issue as the game continues on if we have this pace where Liquid are just getting their farm with whatever they would want.
Mm-hmm. I know you don't know what I'm going to be referring to, but when you said Enigma in the jungle, it gave me flashbacks to an old Dota animation that I wish that series came back. The old raunchy animations. I'll link you later, so you know what I'm talking about. I'm a man of culture.
Okay. You're a man of culture. Okay, Mickey and Boxy, used to the Arcane Rune, and this is how you need to bring Mickey back to the game. We're seeing the rotations out of the Storm Spirit so far, and Sanya made a couple of stacks in the jungle to help out, but really it's going to be off the back of the Power Runes and him playing with the Snapfire to find these kills. He's not going to farm his way back into the game because of kind of the greedy aspect that we see. Like, Zai needs some room, Insania needs some room, so it's going to be up to him to look to get some kills, and they're going to move bottom. Martu playing with Thompson at the moment. They're going to be cautious on tier 1, but the Mortimer Kisses, Thompson will go down. See if that's going to be the case. Cookie, oh, awkward usage. Now they're going to reveal themselves. Insania's nearby. Black Hole into the Mortimer Kisses. All the ultimates required to get rid of Thompson. That'll be an easy kill for them to find, but T1, they're going to show up as well. Cuckoo's in the neighborhood. Zephyr not having the level 6, however, so they won't be able to close the distance and try and bring down some of the Liquid members.
It really feels like Cuckoo's just... He obviously had a good time in the lane, and that's what his hero is designed to do. But it feels like over the last 3 or so minutes, he's lost his identity a little bit. You know, just walking around, not sticking next to the lifestealer as much as possible. With the phase boots in the track, he had no issues being able to catch up to even a very fast hero like the lifestealer.
Yeah, I wonder what the call is going to be for Cuckoo. Like, if Lifesteal is just parking himself down bottom, if he looks to just play down there and always be wherever the Lifesteal is. Because it looks like at the moment, Arno, he wants to be top. You know, farming out as much as possible, opening up the map, having more cams to be able to utilize with the flak cannon.
Even just Zephyr in a similar sort of situation, right? He's very close to hitting the level 6, but he needs that so badly to be able to obviously catch some of the stragglers. You've got the Stampede, of course, to be able to make it not as big of an issue, but just to be able to block off, for example, a full set of stairs could be huge for T1's chances. Just get a couple more of those shuriken tosses, the Janata. Speaking of Cuckoo, it's coming down to this bottom side and trying to kill Oxy.
But Zephyr with the wraparound. Level 6 was just picked up here for the Clockwork, so he should be able to hook on forward if required. Mickey's going to be cautious at the moment, but has a little bit of extra movement speed thanks to the Stampede to close the distance, and he's got plenty of mana as well. So Cuckoo's going to end up going down under the tower, but the rest of T1, they're starting to move down bottom. It's going to be Wymon, along with Topson with the wraparound. Mickey's got plenty of mana to be able to zip away. Let's see who else they want to go for instead. Matu's in some trouble, but the Rage on cooldown is going to be relying on the armlet toggles. In fact, Infest is up as well, so we'll just jump inside the Enigma and Liquid are out.
Yeah, a little bit of... Oh, nearly died there on Zephyr. A little bit of a mistake there from Whitemon. I understand wanting to preserve your TP for as much as possible, but it really felt like if he made that TP rotation in, Soul Rip in onto Cuckoo, he would have survived. He was underneath the tower.
They're going to go back in. Under Topson, they've got the Mortimer Kisses, they need the instant control, and that's what's going to come out from the Vortex. Let's see if the damage is going to be enough afterwards, and Wymon sustain, it's not even there, only 1 point in the Soul Rip, so another death onto Topson's Enchantress. Liquid are doing a very good job in the early game, even though the lanes went T1's favor.
This is what good teams do. They identify the big strengths of their draft as well as the weakness of the enemies and the hero that they need to take out to make sure that their team fight's enabled. And well, it's Topson for sure in these super early stages. He's obviously dealing a lot of output, but when it's not a 1v1 situation, he is severely weak, especially at least until you get that Aghanim Scepter with the Sproink.
It feels like a lot of the heavy lifting has to come out of Ana now. He's top of the net worth again. He's free farming towards a triangle, but it really feels like we are at the stage where T1 have not done enough with their laning stage success. Like the bounty, we haven't seen track kills. We haven't seen the Enchantress doing as much as probably what they were hoping. So you're now really looking towards Ana to kind of lift the weight through the later stages.
Oh, they were looking to try and get a line for a hook shot, but with that rocket flare, it actually ended up protecting the Tumberman a little bit. And this is a bounty hunter and an Enchantress, like, lane domination draft. And the fact that you've got maybe 1 kill off of the track after having such a good start, it's really not enough. You know, Cuckoo's item progression has basically come to a complete halt.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Shortly, they're going to need to try and consider about when ultimates are used from Liquid, because they're going to be back up shortly with the Mortimer Kisses. Like, next team fight, if Liquid don't get enough out of it, then T1 have to get an objective.
It's big movement coming up towards this top side, but, well, they don't have the vision on Liquid, but they seem to just have an idea of... Well, actually, never mind. The Observer Ward scouts out Zephyr in his positioning. Without Topson there, I really don't feel like they would have killed anyone anyway. Maybe with him now revealing in the mid lane, they're going to feel confident enough to be able to go back in. You can see Mickey waiting in the tree line, just hoping for the ideal target. Ana actually TPs. He wants to be able to defend this.
It's Observer Ward.
Yeah. They need to create space for Topson to get that Ags.
We see Zephyr, they're going to jump. Instead of the Clockwork, the Cog's going to buy him some space, but Matumberman just moves forward with the Rage. Matu's going to be cautious though, he's in no man's land, needs an infest target, and that's where Mickey comes into play. Stampede in and zip on out. So they'll keep Matu alive, but a little bit was forced out there from Liquid, and they will not get any kills.
They see a couple of heroes force bottom though, and they probably would have seen that Mickey doesn't have a TP available for himself. So I wonder if now they're just going to look to walk up to this side and look to play around that. Although Mickey's got full mana, so I really don't think it's too much of an issue. Almost level 12, 750 gold away from that Aghanim Scepter for Topson.
Mid lane, Zai's gonna jump, it's onto the Undying. They've got the point blank Mortimer kisses. They're going to be able to cancel this instantly, but the damage is been dealt as now Cuckoo's in trouble as well. Mickey's got plenty of mana to close the distance. Now they're going to turn to Thompson, completely surrounding the Enchantress. A black hole utilized with no way to stop it. As Liquid are just starting to build up too much momentum, it looks like T1 don't have the answers in this game too.
They don't at all. It's just going to get worse and worse. You know, you mentioned before, great counter with the Lifestealer to the Enchantress, especially if it's being played as a core, and that's all that Martu's worried about right now. He just wants to go into that Desolator straight up and look to melt this Enchantress that doesn't really like to go too heavy into the armor items.
Another pick off. Mickey. The fact that he's higher net worth than the Enchantress and he got bodied in the lane. Mickey had such a rough time. We even see what's happening on the other side of the map. Minor thing, Martu's just zoning out Ana from farming his own triangle. So this is just more farm that the Gyrocopter's not able to get. And now Martu's lifesteal is top of the net worth.
Yeah, Martu kind of similar to what we saw in previous games. Like, if Thompson's not there, you're not afraid of dying. The damage is low. The damage is slow. The damage needs time to ramp up. It'll get better once Cuckoo gets into the Aghanim Scepter on his Bounty Hunter, but he's still 2 items away, and probably wants at least the level 12 as well before he really starts to have that impact. But, I mean, this is what happens when you just go away from being a pest against the Lifestealer. It really feels like this is what they picked the hero for. I guess there's the
top lane, Cuckoo. They've got the Infest Bomb with Zai's jumping and Boxy's nearby as well. Easy kill for them to find. Boxy's already got the Veil to play with as well, so just buffing up more of the damage. And, you know, Cuckoo, you just mentioned 2 items away from the Aghanim Scepter, and that's going to continue to be stored out now.
Feels a bit pubby, but I'm assuming the thing that T1 are looking to play for, they've got the Tumbler's Toy, they've got the Sproink available, and they've got the Track available. So, Whitemon?
At the triangle, Martu. And with the help of the Mortimer Kisses, gets an easy kill onto Whitemon. A hook to the backline goes Zephyr, but there's got no follow-up.
No,
meanwhile,
good.
towards the triangle, Ana trying to body away Matumpa. He will be able to do so. They're even going to use this Stampede just to retreat away from Thompson. So, yeah, nicely done, actually, from Zephyr, being able to stop the Mortimer Kisses early.
But you see that they know he's got the Sproink now, they know that he's got the Tumbler's Toy, and you're going to have the Track as well. So you're always going to be able to land multiple of these hits, and then you can just see he immediately queues up the Dragonlance. He's gone Hurricane Pike. He wants to kill people from long range. Again, feels a bit pubby, but it could work.
Dude, it looks so clowny. It looks so clowny. What's going on top? Zai?
He's about to die. Zai gonna die?
He's going to look to try and TP out. Oh, Cuckoo, just the nick of time. Finally a track kill. When was the last time we saw a track kill? Let alone a kill, I should say.
Yeah, probably about like 10 minutes ago, I want to say. So big win for them. Gives Cuckoo a lot of that farm. He's not the one that gets the last hit, but Thompson's just as important. Honestly, either of these two getting last hits, and honestly, even just the track gold is going to be very important. Brings Cuckoo 850 gold away from being able to pick up his own Aghanim Scepter. And like I was saying before, Thompson closing in slowly onto that Dragonlance and eventually into the Hurricane Pike.
Now with Liquid though, Mantu just completed the Deso, so they get a kill or even 2 they can look to consider about Roshan. They might be eyeing up Thompson though. T1, they are playing behind the Enchantress. Let's see if Thompson's going to be able to stay alive long enough for the reinforcements to show up. As Thompson's able to reposition, now T1 will enter the fight. They don't have a way to be able to deal with the raids. They'll turn to Mickey instead. The zip away means that the Storm Spirit's going to be okay.
Senia doesn't have the Tumbler's Toy, but he's going to be able to back off in time. He's picked up a very good amount of farm for the old position 5. Enigma in the jungle is able to nearly have the Wraith Pact available as well. So again, the damage issues that I was highlighting that T1 are going to have might not be as big of a factor once you've got that Clowny combo that I was mentioning before. But I mean, Wraith Pact just makes a lot of things very, very difficult unless the Gyrocopter is able to get right into the center of these team fights and just flak cannon off of it.
Oh, wow, Liquid are actually just walking to Roche even without a pick-off. Maybe the idle and moving up to the triangle. Let's see if that... they're going to see a couple now, and yeah, Rocket Flare's out, so T1 have the read that this is occurring. And Liquid, they're going to look to back up. They don't want to try and brute force down Roshan.
It's not the worst. I mean, they've got strong team fight. They know that the Tombstone's on cooldown, or maybe they didn't, because it was placed super far back by Whitemon during the nighttime, so maybe they didn't even see it.
So close for Cuckoo to get this scepter. Ana's also finding his farm as well. BKB is going to be the next item, but they're looking to try and play behind the Gyrocopter, maybe setting up a trap if they look to jump him.
Cuckoo's just wandering around here. In my eyes, you're an offlaner, but it's kind of similar to the old Vengeful Spirit position 3. You give him his Ags, then it's time to be selfless. But for right now, you got to be greedy. It's just a minute. Give him a minute to be selfless. I know that Ana, it's important for him to pick up his farm, but it's more important for Cuckoo in my eyes, considering how important this this Roshan fight's going to be.
Yeah. Oh, they got the vision, the jump in, no messing around from Liquid. They're going to try and blow up Cuckoo. A forced staff to reposition, but they'll still home onto their target. As the Mortimer Kisses is enough to get rid of their bounty hunter, and now Zeph is in trouble as well. But Mickey, he's already looking for the +1. Martu's into the middle. The damage is plentiful. Meanwhile, off to the other side, Ana, he's stuck inside the black hole, but he's actually able to secure the kill onto the Enigma thanks to the Scepter. And Ana's going to try and man-fight Matumba Man, but the Life Stealer is way too far. The Dry doesn't have the items to combat Martu.
Now they can Rosh. They've still got that Desolator available. Of course, Martu was there for the entire fight, so starting to build a few stacks up into it. And yeah, this is the timing that I was hoping that we'd be waiting for, but instead, Cuckoo just goes a little bit too far, trying to get one pick off. And I understand being eager and trying to push the tempo, but you got to understand the limits that you've got. Now he makes the rotation down towards the bottom side to get a little bit more of that priority farm, but it's just too late. You've already lost the big objective that you've been fighting for.
Thoughts on them giving the Aegis over to Martu instead of Mickey?
I mean, he's the one that's going to be eventually looking to push the high ground, right? So maybe just thinking that they could start to consider doing that in the next little bit before Topson gets into this crazy Hurricane Pike build.
Sure. Okay.
All right. Cuckoo's got Ags. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go, Cuckoo. Feels like... I kind of feel like Zephyr needs to get 2 people inside the cogs, otherwise there's a lot of difficulty for the bounty to have a prolonged time to be able to get those shurikens off, even Topson's Enchantress to be able to play the distance and continue to sack up the damage from the Impetus. Can you see them winning a fight unless if he gets a cogs even onto 1, or has it got to be more than that?
His play in team fights hasn't been the worst. You know, he always seems to be able to just provide that stun to be able to get... He's bailing someone out a lot of the time, right? So if you could use it aggressively, of course it's going to be better. But I just feel like he's been forced to use it so defensively in past. Well, Ana has the BKB available, and he's been able to push in the top side, so might be able to force out some kind of movement up towards this top. As soon as he sees it, maybe they look to clump together and make a move towards mid lane. Bot lane's really not that important right now for T1, so I'm actually going to look to make an aggressive play here with Mickey infested by Martu. I would love to be able to get onto the Undying and just take him out.
They see Topson. Mickey with a zip on 4, but the Mortimer Kisses. Topson doesn't have the health to keep his own life, and Martu just instantly cleans up another hero towards the backline. Liquid, 8,000 net worth lead, T2 tower, next on the chopping block.
And Ana even made the walk back to try and be there with the rest of his team, but they're just too squishy. Again,
they've got a scan. They see that the bounty hunter's nearby. Zai tries to get the stomp. Won't even be required as Liquid into the rest of their team. Pounced on the opportunity with T1 outside the base.
Yeah, Ping and Ana, they know exactly where he is, so they feel confident to just keep on pushing forward. Just keep pushing the tempo. Don't want to let T1 hit this next timing. Just 200 or so gold away for Topson, but I swear his level has not increased in the past 5-6 minutes. He has been level 15 for quite some time, just constantly the focus of pickoffs. Even more minus armor now for Martu. Reaches his level 18. And this is the other issue that I was having. You've got Wraith Pact, you've got Force Staffs to be able to provide a lot more safety. You've got a Lotus Orb. He's going into a freaking heart on the Centaur. And then you've got a Lifestealer as well with the Infest, able to assist so much. He's even got open wounds as well, so he's just going to completely rip through heroes like the Undying and the Clockwork before they're able to get off their key abilities.
So if they look to jump Thompson again, Kiss is still on cooldown for another 15 seconds as T1, they are playing behind the Enchantress. Zai's going to find an angle over the cliff line. It's a pretty decent hook shot from Zephyr, but Thompson still is the first one to go down as now Liquid, they'll turn to deal with a Tombstone, and now they can clean up the remaining forces onto T1 as a Stampede to close the distance. No escape out of Cuckoo, and Ana is nowhere to be seen. As T1 lose 4, they bring down no members of Liquid, and that's up the high gun they go again.
It is for sure, and it feels like maybe T1 are thinking, look, our high ground defense, it ain't too bad, but yeah, this is looking rough for sure. They've got the minus armor from the AC, they've got the Deso, and they've got the potential with the little Shredder as well, just to completely take over this T1 base. Probably going to get a second lane. This is a carbon copy of Game 1.
That it is indeed. What's the old problem? Oh, we're not going to look at the graph. We'll avoid that one. The old Daddy Gaben, Dota Plus is not favoring T1. This is without a doubt a desperation smoke. Mickey's got the bonus health from the Infest. Matu's going to pop one out, and now Mickey even tries to zip on aggressively forward, see if he can get a pick off. He's on a Menno and he's tracked, so they are scouting out the Storm Spirit. Looks like he's back on the Liquid side of the map.
I mean, we were talking about it during the draft of game number 1. Even just from the player cams, this looked like a Liquid that was very confident. Just sitting back, chilling, laughing, having a few snacks, no nerves. So maybe it's a thing that they've specifically been working on in the lead up to this TI, because, you know, there's been a few interviews out there where Blitz is like, look, the boys get anxious. This is just something that happens with them. Can they run into Matu here? Or looks like he'll just be able to avoid that smoke gang. So maybe it's specifically like a mindfulness coach or something like that, because these guys do not seem nervous at all.
Smoke from Liquid. They're going to see Thompson's positioning, surely. Instead, they're going to look to jump Ana. He's in a compromised position. Insane. He's going to try and step into the middle fight with the BKB, but he doesn't have an opportunity for the black hole. But Ana is getting chunked down. Matu is way too farmed. And meanwhile, they're on to Thompson again. As Zai in with the hoop stomp. The Mortimer kisses as well. And T1, they've got to tap out. There is no way for them to come back into this game too. As Insania drops a celebratory black hole as Liquid will 2-0 T1 in pretty convincing fashion.
Yeah, for sure. Not a single death onto Mickey and Matu. 10-0, 15-0 after what should have been... Well, one of them did have a pretty horrendous laning stage, understandably, but Matu definitely came back, made it work. Just a little bit of that evasive action away from the bounty hunter there. And yeah, T1, they seem a little bit lost, don't they? Just going off